Alright guys, gather around, gather around, gather around, gather around. Right guys, so once again I'm showing you another comparison image of what this area used to look like back in 1888 to how it does today. The thing is, if you found yourself down here on Thrall Street back in the day, you probably want to get out pretty damn quick, because this was the slum district. This is where many of the criminals and prostitutes all used to live and work. But if they weren't out pimping or whoring, they were usually out drinking. They were drinking any place in particular. They were drinking at a place called the Frying Pan Inn. And this building right here was once upon a time the Frying Pan. But it's now occupied by a Bengali curry house and a hotel. But on the 31st of August 1888, a woman has stumbled out the Frying Pan after drinking a copious amount of gin. And her name was Mary Ann Nichols, or better known to her friends as Polly. Now, she stumbled out the pub at 12:30 in the morning on the 31st of August 1888. She even turned around to the barman and said to him, "Don't worry, love, I'll soon have some more money for you. See what jolly bonnet I've just bought." Well, straight back down Thrall Street to where she lived at number 18. Now, because she didn't have the 4 pence for her lodgings, the landlord kicked her out, basically saying, no pay, no stay. So, she staggered right back up the road and got deeper into Whitechapel to find that elusive 4 pence. Now, the next time we would see her would be about half a mile easterly of where we're standing right now on a street called Bucks Road. Now, I'm not going to take you guys to Bucks Road today because it doesn't exist anymore. It's actually now called Durwood Street, and the old buildings were either bombed during the Second World War, renovated in the 1990s, or completely obliterated due to the recent Crossrail development. But just in the middle of Bucks Road, so just next to the old board school, right there, can y'all see it? Yeah? Just by the board school, okay, by the railway bridge. At 3:45, a police officer by the name of John Neal is coming down this thoroughfare on his beat, and it's a dark little thoroughfare down there, and what he assumes is a bundle of rags. He shines his lantern down on, and what he assumes is a bundle of rags is the body of a woman, and she's had her throat viciously cut from ear to ear and back again, severing both carotid arteries and severing her windpipe. He also assumed the killer had strangled her beforehand because there'd been no sound of a scream and no arterial blood spray on the wall next to her head. But as we've already learned with Martha Tabram, you know, it's a very violent crime area. So what do the police do? I mean, it's not CSI Whitechapel around here. All the police did was declare the body dead, take it to the mortuary and scrub the blood away. But when the body was taken to the mortuary and later identified as 43-year-old Mary Ann Nichols, and this is a mortuary photograph right here, they discovered that this poor woman had been ripped open from her groin to her sternum, exposing her intestines from her abdominal cavity. The killer had also stabbed her numerous times in her sexual organs. Now, this did get the attention of the police, but the police didn't know who the hell they were supposed to be looking for. I mean, they heard rumours on the street that it might be the work of a mad butcher who was known to menace the prostitutes of the area, who went by the nickname of Leather Apron. So, to try and hunt down this nefarious Leather Apron, they decided to enlist the services of the greatest detective that London had to offer. And before you guys say it, that was not Sherlock Holmes. Because Sherlock Holmes is a fictional character, as you guys may well know. In fact, the best man to hunt down the Whitechapel murderer was a 14-year veteran of the Whitechapel Police. And his name was Detective Inspector Frederick George Aberline. Now, Inspector Aberline wasted no time coming down on the Thrall Street and started speaking to Mary Ann Nichols' neighbours. Asked what kind of a person she was. Did she have any enemies? Did she have any debts? He's looking for a motive. But he didn't find one because no one had a bad word to say against her. So it looked like the case was just going to go stagnant. But Aberline was not going to see it go out that way. He was going to make sure this monster was brought to justice. And I think that's why he's always revered as the greatest policeman in all of the Whitechapel murder investigation. That's why over the years, when various films and TV shows have been made about the Whitechapel murders, he's always portrayed as the hero. I mean, the first time I ever saw someone play Inspector Aberline was from the 1988 television serial when he was portrayed by Sir Michael Caine. And if you guys haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's bloody magnificent. Okay, it's one of my personal favourite films of all time. But then again, the most famous person who ever played Inspector Abberline was American. And he was portrayed in the 2001 film From Hell as a rather handsome, drug-addicted psychic. But then again, he was played by my brother from another mother. Ah, yes, good old Johnny Depp. I know it's uncanny, isn't it? But whatever you think of Inspector Abberline, he was hot on the case, so willing to see this one out to the very bitter end. And it was way best that Inspector Abberline done so, because a week after the murder of Mary Ann Nichols, the killer would strike again, and this time it is far worse than before. Now in a second, guys, I'm going to take you down Brick Lane, which is very famous for its restaurants, okay? If you're a very big fan of curry, this is the place you want to go to, but they do an awful lot of food down there as well, okay? Even if you like pasta or steak, anything like that, you can find it down on Brick Lane. But as we're on the tour at the moment, guys, please do stick together. If you want a recommendation of someone to eat at the end of the tour, just come up and ask me. I'll point you in the right direction. But until then, guys, let's go. You guys who just joined at the back, up the front.